Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny and today is such an exciting day because one, spring has come to North Carolina, at least for today. I will go ahead and tell you it is going to be an absolutely stunning, gorgeous, sun-filled day. The high is 81. We're going to be outside all day long because today is the day that we are going to be planting the new David Alston bare root roses that arrived just the other day. And if you have followed us for a little while, you know that last year was my first year doing David Alston's, and I've got to do a little bit of moving some plants around. So not only am I going to show you how to plant a bare root rose, I am also going to show you how to transplant a rose. I guess this would be considered an established rose because it's been in the ground for a year. It had a beautiful, well, we're going to move 3 of them. They had gorgeous growing seasons last year, beautiful blooms, and so we're going to do that. But before we can do that, I need to get my David Alston's out of the box and into this tub soaking with water. When you buy David Alston's, it's great because, of course, you're getting these amazing plants, but I love how they have just the education side of their business. So if you enjoy David Alston's or you enjoy English shrub roses, I encourage you to check them out, both Facebook, Instagram, and I think they have a YouTube channel. But they do great tutorial, both videos and posts that show you everything you need to know on how to take care of these English roses. I ordered these back late summer, early fall when they opened up their dates, and they don't ship them to you until it is the appropriate time for you to plant them. Brianna. It's okay. Come back. Good girl. Come here. Brenna was protecting me from Jackson, who snuck out of the woods. It startled her a little bit. So anyway, they don't ship you your roses until it is the appropriate time for you to plant. You put in obviously your shipping information and then they know. So they come to you. I told Jerry, I said, you know that this comes from a working nursery. This is the packing list because it's covered in mud. So muddy hands that packed our sweet roses. As a nursery woman, I appreciate this because I can so relate to you having dirty hands when you're collecting plants and gathering plants. So it's just a little side note. I happen to love the dirty page. So you have that, and then you have this great informational book that tells you your planting guide US edition. This is everything you need to know about planting and taking care of your David Alston's. It is picture by picture, step by step, rose care by region. So I am considered the Southeast, I am North Carolina, and so they will tell me exactly, I mean, y'all, this is fantastic. I love this. So, you know, all the information is right here. This is a handy book. Hold on to it. So without further ado, we're going to open up our box here. And Brenna, I don't know if she's in the shot, but she is right here with me. So let me open up this box and show you what we have. All right, so I've got my roses in here. I will tell you before we open them what exactly I have. So I have 2 rhubarb dolls because I already have one. He's going to get moved, so we're going to have a group of 3 rhubarb dolls together. I have got 1 Gertrude Jekyll. She's going to go where rhubarb was. I have 3 of the Poet's Wife, and I have 3 Suzanne William Ellis's. They're going to be fantastic. As we pull them out and as we get them planted, I'll give you all of the information. This stapled shut. Here we go. I'll give you all the plant information on them, but I chose, because these are all going right here at the patio area, I had to really show a lot of restraint in picking my colors because, I mean, honestly, I just want one of everything. But in the patio area, I am keeping myself constrained to the color palette of really light colors because the patio is so incredibly hot during the day in the summer. we're rarely out there during the heat of the day, morning and then evening, right? And so we had the landscape lighting, and the light colors show up better in the dark with that low light situation. So that is why I stuck to a very either white, pale yellow, pale pink palette for the area. All right, so when your David Austin's come, they're gonna come in this box, in a bag. Get that out of the way. And I have my tub. Because these are bare roots, they recommend that they are soaked for a minimum of 2 hours to rehydrate their roots. So that is what we're going to do. I'm going to try, I learned this last year, not to pull them all apart because I got to stick them back in this tub. So we're going to see if I can keep them together out of this bag. And of course I don't have my gloves. Roses have thorns. So we're gonna do this carefully. Here we go. All right, I will show you the anatomy of a bare root rose when we start to plant them. But for right now, I want to keep them all together because I can easily come and do this. See, look how much easier that was. Huh. So much easier than last year when I pulled them, made the mistake and pulled them all apart. Don't do that. All right. You got your toy? All right, so we got those. I went ahead and also purchased the David Austin, the mycorrhiza fungi that goes on the roots. This really promotes that healthy root system. This is basically the same fungi that is in the in Biotone. So if you don't want to use the David Austin, not a problem. I just figured, you know what? They're the breeder of these roses. I'm going to go ahead and grab their fertilizer. So we'll apply this when we plant them. But right now I'm going to get a hose and get the bucket filled up and get these roots rehydrated. I will say that they are nice and damp, so they are not completely dried out. But it recommends in my planting guide to rehydrate them for a minimum of 2 hours. So that is what we're going to do. So let's get the hose turned on and get the bucket filled up. Right? Yes. All right, we got the water on. Brenna's most excited. You want some water, Brenna? Yes, he goes. So the main goal is to get all of the roots submerged in water, right? That's why you want to kind of get the biggest tub you can find and get all these babies nice and watered. And each rose has a tag on it that is labeled that tells us exactly, you know, which rose is which. That way there's no confusion on who is what. And I will say that there is already some growth on these, so that is super exciting. My David Austins that are in the ground, you know, that are a year old, they already have their first set of little leaves on them. So I will go ahead and begin treating them with preventative treatment to keep any kind of aphids, any kind of pests from getting on them. Jerry and I were at the nursery, one day this week, and there was a shrub and it had aphids on it already. I mean, here we are the 1st of March and the aphids are out. Absolutely insane. So I will go ahead and start protecting my established roses, not these, until they flush out their first set of true leaves. All right, so now we have at least a minimum of 2 hours that we need to let these sit and soak up and rehydrate. Again, I'm gonna get Brenna her own water bucket so that she doesn't take all the water out of these roses. But we're gonna go ahead and move to the patio so that we can begin moving, just flip-flopping my established David Austins around because we just have some musical chairs that we need to take care of. We are back here on the patio with the full sun conditions. Love the sun. May not be the absolute best conditions for filming a video. We're gonna go with it. So on this wall, the long wall, there are 3 David Austins there. 2 of them are going to get moved. So the first one that is going to get moved is right behind the equipment right here. So this is Desdemona. Desdemona is a beautiful, creamy, white, gorgeous, one of my absolute favorites. Well, anyway, I love them all, but loved her. She, I actually planted wrong last year. She is supposed to go over to one of those that's below the deck boxes. For whatever reason, I just got excited and I planted Desdemona and then the other one in the wrong spot. So I've got to take one from over there, I don't remember the name of it, that one, and then bring it back over to where Desdemona is. So they're just going to do a little flip-flop. Then the other one that we need to move right now is this rhubarb doll. And rhubarb doll, like I told you, I ordered 2 new ones, and because I'm going to plant them in groups of 3 in front of the tea olives and the azaleas. The only problem with this situation is that right before I came out, Jerry showed me we have got fire ants right here near rhubarb. So if you are a southerner or if you have fire ants in your life, you know how absolutely awful these things are, and they have set up nest in this bed. So I will tread very carefully and try to move rhubarb without disturbing them. I put bait down for them. We'll just see how it goes. But I do want to show you too how much new foliage is already on these roses. Like, look at that. They are flushed out. Those are full leaves that are coming. Very exciting. So what we're going to do first is kind of start with the easy ones, and we're going to flip-flop Desdemona and the other one. I went and checked the name on the other rose. It is Brother Codfile. So we are going to move him because all the roses on this wall are going to be a light, very soft pink, and they're going to be in the 5-foot range because obviously I have this massive, huge wall, and I need as much height here as I possibly can get. What I'm doing now is I am just raking back all of the mulch so I can see exactly what is going on here. I do have an irrigation line running right behind this rose that I will be very well aware of. And then there is landscape lighting. Somebody's going to try to be very smart here, and she knows she's not supposed to jump up, but Brenna, no. She's not allowed in the flower boxes. So move all your mulch back, and then we're basically just going to dig and get as much roots as we possibly can, because that is what is going to really ensure the success of, you know, your transplanting. Now is not, I mean, roses are not just the only thing that are good to transplant now. A lot of things are. So it's your perennials or your shrubs. If you need to transplant something, late winter, early spring is the perfect time to do it. So let's grab the shovel. Out. Thank you. Now this garden, these boxes, we added soil to it. So it shouldn't, it's not my typical horrible red clay, nope. So you can see that I'm pulling up a good nice scoop of soil. Come on, come on. But the rose is not moving. So that means I'm not hitting any roots. Now, maybe we're gonna get somewhere. Yep. So you can see it moving. I heard a couple little pops. So then you're just going to work your way around so that you can loosen up all that soil around the rose. Roots are definitely deeper than they are wide. Okay, there we go. I got her. Whew. All right, let's hurry up and move and get brother out so we can get Miss Desdemona in. Okay, so brother Codful is the one on the end. We're gonna get him out. I know that I have to replace all the mulch that's in here. Off. So especially on this side, I don't have irrigation lines in here. That's something that we will remedy. But yeah, so we're just gonna dig the hole, keep the dog out, call it a day. There we go. All right, he is out. You want to dig your hole nice and deep because, of course, we're going to bury her back at the same depth that she was before. Okay, so I've got my hole. Got Desdemona, and we're going to test. And you can see that basically she was underground up to this point. So that's where we're going to go back to with her again. I don't have enough of the David Alston mycorrhiza, so I'm going to use my biotone. I'm going to be very generous. Put that in there. Somebody had asked how I keep Brenna out of the biotone. Off. My hope is if I'm able to keep her from ever tasting it, that will help. So I'm doing everything that I can to keep her from eating the tones. All right, I'm gonna go back in and make sure that the root system is nice and supported. No air pockets. All right, so Desdemona is in. What I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna do three things right now. One, I'm gonna put some land and sea around her. I'm gonna top dress her. Roses love compost. They do really well with that. So I'm gonna put compost around her. Then I'm gonna go ahead and treat her the preventative treatment with my rose and flower. It's the 3-in-1. This is what I used last year. Our friends over at Garden Obsessions recommended this to me because they have a lot of David Alston's. It works great. So it's a 3-in-1 because it's a fertilizer, it is a pesticide control, and a fungicide. So it has all of those in there. I have found in the South once a month. If I miss once a month, then that is where I will have problems. I can get black spot, aphids, Japanese beetles. So I religiously will do this at the beginning of every month because it's the beginning of March. So I will do this every single first of the month. It will be on my calendar, a reminder on my phone, and I will get it done. So we're going to open up some land and sea. Be generous. So that is step 1 is the compost. Step 2 is the rose care. And then 3, we will get her really, 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 really well watered in. It is warm today. I might even see if I can go find an umbrella and give her a little protection from the sun. We'll see. All right, so that is what I'm gonna do. On the container, it tells me exactly what to do. You can use this for other plants other than roses, but for a rose, it says 1 capful per plant. It's a granular. You can also get it in a spray. So there's my cap, and then I just shake it around the plant. This is really easy to do when there's no mulch because it just goes on it. Now I will come back and mulch this really, really well. I'll do this whole bed. The first 2 roses are in. They have been switched. We are going to take a little water break and then we will come back because what we need to do next is to prepare the area for all the new bare root roses. So I want to prepare that area before I even dig up Ruald. He can stay where he is. He's just fine. So we will go ahead, we're going to get some of the new soil blend that we had gotten. We used over there at the nursery with those 2 new beds that we put in front of the greenhouse. We're going to use that because it's a great blend of compost and leaf litter and some good aged pine bark. So it will really add some aeration and good nutrients to the soil. So I will most likely just grab the tractor and probably put, I don't know, maybe 1 scoop, 2 scoops, we'll see how much I need in that area, get that all squared away, dig our holes first, and then we will go ahead and put the roses in. Right now they're still happy in their little water tub soaking up and enjoying life, but soon they will be in the ground. So I'll meet you back here in just a minute. All right, friends, so I've got 2 scoops of the fantastic soil blend dumped here where the roses are going to go. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and spread it out. Yes, we have amended this soil when we made the bed, but this soil was just awful. I mean, it was really did not have any organic matter in it at all. This stuff is great because it's got compost, it has the leaf litter, it's got some aged pine bark fines in it, so it's really good. I'm just going to spread it out in this whole space. I think 2 scoops will do me. I don't think I'll need a 3rd one, but I'll just spread it out and then we will go from there. But basically the next step is to spread it, aug the holes, and then plant. Seems pretty easy. Turns out that 2 scoops of the compost blend was the perfect amount. I was able to spread it out over the whole bed, and I went ahead and top dressed both the guara, which is up front, then the azaleas and the tea olives. This whole area is going to get remulched, so might as well just make good use of it. It never hurts to feed the existing plants and just to add that great organic material back on top. Next step is to figure out the placement of these roses and to go ahead and aug the holes. Now I have 3 varieties that I'm going to plant in this empty section behind me. I have the Ruald Doll, the Poet's Wife, and then of course Susan Williams Ellis. Can't forget Susan. So they are going to go in here. I am going to plant these very differently than how they are planted along the patio. I'm going to plant these in groups of 3, and I'm going to plant them as if they're going to be one large shrub. That is the look that I want to achieve. And so David Alston, again, fantastic information On their website, they tell you exactly how to do that, how to achieve the look of one large shrub when you're planting 3 or more of the same variety of roses. So it sounds like it's really close, but we're only going to plant our roses 1.5 feet apart from each other. Each of these roses basically is going to be 4 feet wide. According to David Austin, they are the experts of their roses after all. They say to achieve that look, you're going to plant them 1.5 feet apart. That is what we're going to do. And then we're going to decide exactly where they're all going to go. So go do a little thinking, a little planning, and a little strategizing. Okay, so I have a little tip for you when you're planting your garden, right? And you're trying to figure out where plants are going to go. If you have your plant in a pot, then that makes it easy because you can just move the plant and the pot all around together. I have bare roots, right? And I don't want to just move the bare roots around, and plus they're floppy and they won't stand up. So I just got some old nursery pots that we had. These were terracotta pots, plastic terracotta that we use for mums. And that is my spacing of where the roses are going to go. This way I can easily move them around, look at all the angles, right? Because you know me, I have to look at it from every angle. They are 18 inches apart on center, which is what David Austin recommends for the look that I am going for. And so imagine that we have, starting on the left, that in 3 years, because they say it really takes about 3 years for them to grow as into one plant. So you have a rhubarb doll right here. You have the Susan Williams Ellis here in the middle, and then you have the poet's wife on the end. That is the look we're going for. It has plenty of room between the sets of roses. So we can walk through there. We have plenty of air circulation. I have room in the front that I can plant my annuals in there. I think this year I'm going to do Proven Winners Plan the Blues Salvia. It's an annual. It is a gorgeous blue. The butterflies and the hummingbirds and the pollinators absolutely love it. So it'll be gorgeous. So I'll just do one big swoosh of that. And then it also gives me room in the back for the azaleas to grow. So that way we've got plenty of room for everybody to grow and be happy. And I know that I have a pocket where the poet's wife is going to be here on the right. And I know behind that I have a little pocket of empty space. I don't know if you can see, but to the right of it is the little lime punch that we are trialing to see how they do. So I have 2 of them. Let me switch the camera around so I can kind of give you a big picture idea. So big picture idea here is that, of course, we have the arbor with the generous gardener. There's one on each side. That is a climbing rose from David Austin. Come through, you will see we have our sets of 3 roses right there. It's going to be gorgeous. And then can you see the Okami cherry tree? She is absolutely glowing. We will look at her in just a minute. But yeah, so you come on through. And then the space that I'm talking about is right behind these 3 pots. So right in there is my empty space, because right there, even for me, it's hard to see on the camera, but there is a little lime punch right there. And then there is another little lime punch right here. What's going to go in this center right here is the hospitality fountain from Unique Stone. So we'll have a nice focal point right there. We'll put, for now, I'm just going to put annuals here where I lay down that extra compost. And then of course the bed goes on from there, and there is the whole patio. Kind of gives you a big picture idea. Here is the gorgeous, she's little. This is only her 2nd spring being here, but this is the Okami cherry tree. Here in North Carolina, Okamis do really well. They are the ones to bloom first. So if you are in North Carolina and you're driving around and you see cherry trees blooming, then that is the Okami. There are honeybees all over this tree. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to get an up-close picture in a minute. But the Okamis do really, really well here. So basically here we can do Okamis, Yoshinos, and Kwanzans. Okamis are first. They have that beautiful pink bloom on them. I really hope that the camera's picking up all these honeybees because they are just all over it. I'll put all the specs for the tree on the screen, but man, she is beautiful. The kids asked, in fact, it was just this morning, they were like, why do you just have a random tree out in the middle of the yard? You know, leave it to your kids to keep you humble. So I said, well, right now she's out in the middle of a field by herself, but we're going to connect it and make, you know, there are plans, right? So you just do it step by step by step, which leads me back to the point, I need to go plant those roses. Focus, Jenny, focus. Let's go plant those roses right quick. So I decided to work Poet's Wife, Susan Williams Ellis, and then Rhubarb Doll, just because I have to dig up the Rhubarb Doll and move him. So we're gonna start with the easy way and work our way up the hill. I have my David Austin, the mycorrhiza. Again, if you don't have this, biotone. Biotone is always an absolute must when we are planting new perennials, trees, shrubs, and so forth. So this is gonna be Susan Williams. So I see one here. Yep, here we go. All right, so there she is, sweet thing. Basically what we're gonna do is just put her in the ground. It says it needs to be about the top right here needs to be about 2 inches in the ground. So we're really, like all of this, where the roots are, is gonna go in the ground. Before we do that, we're gonna open up our mycorrhiza. The package says that one pack does should do 3 roses. I read that somewhere. Yes, sufficient for 3 bare root or containerized roses. So what we're gonna do is just simply kind of put it in the hole, over the hole rather, and then sprinkle this directly on the roots, and then whatever's left will fall into the hole. So that's what we're gonna do. And you're just gonna have to kind of remember that your packet is for 3 roses. Put that in the pot so it doesn't fall over. They recommend getting a bamboo stake and laying it across the hole. That way you can tell how deep your rose is. Now, because these are alive plants, their roots, and we've been soaking them, their roots are very pliable. So you don't have to stick it in just like this. Like, you can gently move those roots around. That we have learned from doing our perennials, like the Baptisia, that come with these massive root systems. Don't be afraid just to gently persuade them to wrap around the plant. All right, there we go. I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit more mycorrhiza. I probably didn't get as much as I was supposed to. There we go, that feels about right. And then you just backfill. Make sure that you get underneath, that there are no little air pockets. Working in all that good compost while watching out for the thorns. Oh. And then remember that the mulch will also kind of count as your, when you add mulch, that kind of goes into the equation as well. And then you're really going to tamp it down and bring back more soil. You want these babies in here nice and tight. Use some force with them, right? Get in there. Then, once we're all done with all of them, we will come back and water them in really well. That also will help settle any air pockets that are here. And then if you need to, at that point, you can always come back in with some more soil. We've got plenty around here that we can add to them. All right, let me get these other 2 in, and then we'll chit chat. All three Susan Williams Ellis are in here. Now, yes, I was really precise when I was putting the pots down and when I tried to get them exactly 18 inches apart. I am not going to sweat it if they don't end up perfectly planted 18 inches apart. I have a feeling that these two are probably a little bit closer to each other, but that's because this one had a massive root system and very thick, sturdy roots. So when I tried to move her, she would only go in a certain place. So if this is 15 inches and this is 20 inches or whatever, I'm not gonna sweat it. It's fine. You're not gonna know the difference when they grow big. Some people have a personality where they have to have it exactly 18 inches. If that's you, great, fix it. If it's not, great, leave it alone. Let's move on down to the next ones. So yeah, basically we're gonna do the exact same thing 5 more times, and then the last Ruwald we will have to dig up, move him, and then put Gertrude Jekyll in her new home. So it's gonna keep plopping them in. This is the fun part. This is the dirty, hands in the dirt fun part. All right, here we go. All right, my people. So I got the Poet's Wife and Susan Williams Ellis planted. I have a bone to pick with y'all though, because you let me plant Susan Williams Ellis in the wrong spot. Susan is supposed to go in the middle, and Poet's Wife is supposed to go on the right end because Susan gets taller and she is white, so she combines Rubald's peachy and Poet's Wife's yellow together. Can't believe y'all just let me do that. So of course, and I joke, this is what happens when I get planting. I get so excited, and anyway, I say it again, filming and gardening at the same time is not as easy as one might think, but I digress. So of course, I thought about it for a second and was like, well, can I leave Susan on the end? No, I cannot. And so she got pulled out of the ground, put in the middle. Poet's Wife got put where she's supposed to be. So everybody is where they are supposed to be, because after moving these two roses, Desdemona and Brother Codful, I do not want to have to move roses again. It was not hard, but it was not easy. It was easy, you know what I mean, right? So I just don't want to have to do it again. I want those roses to be there. And in fact, Jerry came over and he was like, you have been doing this all day, because I've been outside tinkering, doing some stuff. But yeah, I've been out here since about 8 and it's about 4 o'clock right now. Haven't been doing this the continuous time, but I told him, I said, yes, it is a lot of work and it's involved, prepping the space and everything, but if we do this right, these roses could easily outlive us. So it is worth it. I just keep telling myself it is worth it. If I get stung by fire ants, it is worth it to move Ruwald out of his spot. So Ruwald's gonna get dug up. I am gonna try to avoid those fire ants at all costs because they are not fun. And this Ruwald is going to be incredibly noticeably larger than the other two new bare roots that I got, but that's all right. Long term, in the end, it'll all work out just fine. So again, rose roots obviously are more deep than they are wide. So there's one. It's just trying to, it's not easy when you're against a wall. Ow! In case you wanted to know, Ruwald has very large thorns. Whew. Which is interesting to know that different roses, the different cultivars, have different amounts of thorns. So Ruwald is pretty hefty there. So proceed with caution on that. All right, he's out. I am going to take my shovel because I have a feeling I need to make that hole bigger. All right, here we go. One more to go. I'm done. Of course, I gotta water. One more to go. All right, Gertrude Jekyll is going in. She is going to look pretty small this season, probably compared to the other two, because they have a year of growth ahead of her. But Gertrude Jekyll, she'll get 5 feet tall. Or you could even leave her as a climber. Ha! There you go. We're not gonna leave her as a climber, but she will get nice and big. A little bit left of the mycorrhiza. Dig this hole out and get her in. Not get stung by fire ants. All right, sweet friends, with that, I am going to call it a day. To say I'm tired is a little bit of an understatement, but it is a good tire because we've got some really good work done today that is going to give us years and years and years of absolute gorgeous beauty and sight and smell, and super, super excited about it. I am gonna water these. I'm gonna hook up the hose and get everybody really well watered in. I'm tired. I don't want to show y'all that on camera. It's just as simple as that. You're going to have to trust me that I'm going to get the hose and everybody's going to get a good drink of water. Again, I've talked about this before. I get very ambitious in the morning. My brain thinks I can get a lot of stuff done. Like I thought I was going to get all this mulch and irrigation laid down. Yeah, not so much. That's okay though, because we still got some more things to do. Just tidying up odds and ends. So I like to put the mulch on last anyway. They will be fine. Everybody's gonna be fine. Nice, well watered in. I didn't show you, but I did go ahead and with the other established roses, I did add some land and sea compost around them, top dress them, and I went ahead and put the Rose Care 3-in-1 on them as well. So all of the roses, the established roses, second year roses, have been treated because they are showing new foliage. As soon as the new roses begin to pop out foliage, I will then treat them. And then probably what I'll do, because there'll be a little bit of a time delay on that, is I'll work everybody back onto the same schedule so that way I can just do it once a month. Hopefully this has answered some questions, maybe taken some of the fear out of growing roses. I know that I was pretty timid last year and a little unsure, and I just decided just to jump off the high dive right on into the deep end and just go for it. So glad that I did. it just brought me so much joy last year coming out here. I mean, can't tell you how many times I was out here with my coffee in my pajamas as it was just getting light to check on a bud that I had seen the day before to see how it was going to open. So if you have any questions, check out the David Austin website. Again, they just do an amazing job with education. Look around. Again, I am not the rose authority. I know there's plenty of people out there. I am just sharing with you what I know and what I am doing. As always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.